You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, it's Distracted Driving Awareness Month, and a local police officer wants to remind drivers to put those phones down.
Also, the Supreme Court evaluates the Trump administration's use of an older piece of legislation.
And take a look at that sunrise. It certainly looks nice out there. It's still cold though. Warm weather will return this afternoon. Look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Chris Warner. It's just after 7 o'clock on this Tuesday, April the 8th, and I'm just falling apart. I almost dropped this.
Oh, gosh.
I just about fell off my little box at the desk a few minutes ago. I am falling apart this morning.
Good thing you can sit down
for now, at least. And one thing, though, that you really got to pay attention to is distracted driving, really, of any kind.
Yes.
And I saw some of that even early this morning on the way here.
Absolutely. And April is Distracted Driving Awareness Month. Now, under a hands-free law, Missourians are not allowed to use cell phones while driving.
And while that's not the law everywhere, distracted driving is a problem law enforcement everywhere deals with. KOAM's Lonnie Walton has more from Independence.
I talked to a local police officer and a driver about staying aware while driving on the road, which can save you time and money.
I have my turn signal on to turn on my road.
Sue Lynn is a driver in Independence, Kansas. She says she's had close calls with distracted drivers.
Car behind me was on their phone looking down, and I went to turn, and they zoomed around me on the other side as I was trying to turn.
And she's not the only one. Jackie Coleman says he has the same problem sometimes.
Oh yeah. Okay. I let them get away with it. I don't have what you call road rage. That's dangerous.
According to Detective Lieutenant Kyle Hand from Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, driving and looking at your phone shouldn't happen.
I've had several accidents. I've made traffic stops before with people texting and driving. It's a very dangerous deal.
Lieutenant Hand says more than 20% of vehicle accidents in Kansas are caused by distracted driving. There's lots of technologies that keep your hands free and your eyes on the road.
Connect your phone to the car audio and talk to them hands free. And if there's a text message, I know Apple has a deal where they send an automatic text message to somebody saying you're driving.
That said, both Lynn and Coleman have strict words for drivers.
And you have to drive defensive around here. Oh. You have to look out for those people.
Take your phone and put it away. Don't drive with your phone in your hands.
Reporting in Independence, Kansas, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Well, AAA is tracking the statistics for distracted driving. They say hands-free law in Missouri has reduced crashes by more than 5%, resulting in about 660 fewer injuries over the past 2 years. Wow.
It's very essential. Most vehicles these days do come with hands-free. They have Bluetooth, which even in the Missouri side, that's okay.
Right.
You just can't be holding it or texting, which you shouldn't be doing those things anyway.
It's dangerous.
Because you've got to pay attention. There's a lot of car crash videos online. Not necessarily that they're graphic or anything, but a lot of it's distracted driving.
Yes.
People not paying any attention. So make sure you keep your eyes on the road. And if you're inside your house, keep your eyes on the screen, because we're going to show you an absolutely beautiful sunrise from downtown Pittsburgh. It is still cold, but I have some good news. This should be the last really cold start we have for a while, but it looks nice out there. MoDOT camera 20th and range line also looking pretty good as well, getting our day underway. It's only Tuesday, but worry not. We've made it through every other week together. We'll make it through this one just fine as well. Freeze warnings, frost advisories. These continue until 9 o'clock this morning. And then the long-range data suggests we may not see any of these back again for a while. Not that any of us would be complaining. So today, an interesting kind of setup from the weather side of things. We're actually going to be a degree or two cooler for most of the day than where we were yesterday. We're not going to notice the difference, but from a temperature standpoint, it'll be a degree or two cooler. But our highs today will be a degree or two warmer, because what happens is by about 4 o'clock or so, winds will shift out of the south, and just before sunrise, they do so just enough to warm us up briefly. That's not sunrise, sunset, to warm us up just briefly to our highs. And then, of course, the sun will go down. We'll start to cool off. But thanks to that south wind, it will not be this cold. Stockton, You are the cold spot at this point at 29. The rest of us low, mid, upper 30s as we get this day started. Ultimately, later today, highs about the mid 60s, clear skies, east winds 5 to 10, shifting out of the south. Winds increase tonight, which will make us nearly 20 degrees warmer tomorrow morning than where we are now. Will also make our afternoon much warmer as well. Details on that and how our weekend is shaping up here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, a judge sentences a former Miami, Oklahoma teacher and coach for sex crimes involving students. The DA's office says Canyon Cole pleaded guilty to sexual battery and 3 counts of soliciting sexual conduct or communication with a minor by use of technology. Now, he gets 90 days in the county jail, a 10-year suspended sentence, and 10 years probation. Cole will also have to register as a sex offender. Miami police say Cole had previously been forced to resign from Sand Springs High School in 2022. Now, according to court documents, authorities investigated Cole for similar behavior during his time at that school. However, Cole applied to Miami Public Schools with a reference letter from the Sand Springs principal stating he would hire him again. And we're learning more about a high-speed chase from southwest Missouri into Oklahoma that ended with the arrest of a fugitive. The suspect is William Vernemont of Kansas, Oklahoma, a convicted felon with outstanding warrants for felony assault on law enforcement and other crimes. Authorities in McDonald County, Missouri say as they tried to make a traffic stop, Vernemont drove off. Now, they say he drove more than 110 miles per hour on I-49, then exited going the wrong way on an on-ramp. Officers from various agencies joined a manhunt in Delaware County where they finally arrested the man. And last report, Vernemont was in the Delaware County jail. Charges are being submitted to the McDonald County Prosecuting Attorney's Office for the violations that occurred in Missouri. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, you can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Well, it's a 1798 law that gives the government certain powers during declared wars, as well as actual or threatened invasions or incursions. Now, this is what the U.S. used to detain Japanese nationals during World War II, and the Trump administration wants to use it to deport Venezuelan nationalists it alleges have gang ties. Amy Kiley reports.
This is a win for the Trump administration.
The Supreme Court is allowing deportation proceedings under the Alien Enemies Act for now, but with stipulations. The ruling throws out a U.S. district judge's order. President Donald Trump says on social media it's, quote, a great day for justice.
You can use these additional authorities, such as the Alien Enemies Act, to target these terrorist organizations.
But the Supreme Court says the men involved in the case can challenge the use of the Alien Enemies Act. They just have to do so in the district where they're detained. The justices say anyone facing deportation under the wartime law should have that opportunity. The ACLU calls that a victory. It comes after ICE sent alleged Venezuelan gang members to an El Salvador prison while legal challenges were still playing out.
They actually, as a practical matter, can get to the courts and not be whisked away in the middle of the night like was originally done in this case.
Another ruling from the Supreme Court yesterday involves a Maryland man erroneously deported to El Salvador. The justices say the U.S. doesn't have to bring him back for now.
That they can whisk someone out of the country by accident and then have no responsibility to fix, what they've broken just doesn't make sense as a legal matter and is also just disturbing as a matter of constitutional law.
I'm Mimi Kiley reporting.
Now, the White House says that erroneous deportation was due to an administrative error. Advocates say it raises questions about how ICE verified potential gang ties of the other people it sent to prison in El Salvador. And those are our top news stories this half hour. Coming up next, we'll hear how buying your favorite baked goods can help the SEK Humane Society. And later, Charlene Patton shares her recipe for Southwest spring rolls. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Central Park in Carthage, Missouri. Well, the SEK Humane Society has a few upcoming events that will be a great way for you to show your support for the organization. Now, this morning we have Jasmine Kyle with us to share how you can help. Good morning, Jasmine.
Hey, good morning.
Happy to have you here. So talk to me about this upcoming spring bake sale. Very exciting.
Yeah, so we only have 2 bake sales a year. So, and our spring one's the first one of 2025. So that's going to be the Saturday, literally the day right before Easter, April 19th. We'll be set up at Meadowbrook Mall in Pittsburgh, Kansas, right through the doors by the mall deli from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll have several tables filled with baked goods, but right now we're looking for volunteer bakers. So if you have a passion to bake, or whether you just want to bake us, like a dozen cookies, it's a wonderful way for volunteers to help out in a different way, which is why we always kind of like these events. We have volunteers that'll stop by the shelter, but for volunteers, sometimes it's a little hard. And we absolutely understand that. So if you have a passion for baking, this would be a great way to get involved. No sign up needed. You can always email me with questions, but drop off's going to be from 9:30 to 10 that morning here in Pittsburgh.
Wonderful. And the next day, the very next day.
Yeah, it's Easter, literally the very next day. This whole year is going by. But yeah, our Egg My Yard annual event is returning. That is where myself and volunteer Easter bunnies, we are literally up like at 6:30 in the morning and from 7 to 9 for residents in Pittsburgh and Frontenac, Kansas. We go and hide eggs for service. They're already pre-filled. We do orders for kiddos with allergies, so that is something within our wheelhouse to service for. But it's 25 eggs for 25, or you can get 50 eggs for 40. And literally, we will go out that morning so the parents can sleep in, so you don't have to worry about that. Or it's a fun service. We've seen a lot of grandparents get into it, where it's a gift for one of their kiddos. It's really cool. So we're not only looking, I think we have about 10-15 spots still left, and then we're looking for volunteers for that. So maybe you have kids that have kind of grown out of the house, or you have kiddos that are in that age bracket that kind of want to get involved in the community. This is a really fun way. Our volunteers
can be really fun.
It can be.
Absolutely. And if people want to either volunteer for the big sale and they have more questions, as you mentioned, your email, or for the Egg My Yard, where can they do so?
Yeah, send us a shout out on our Facebook page, SEK Humane Society. You can email me, give us a call. There's multiple ways.
Wonderful. Well, Jasmine, as always, thank you so much for being with us. Lots of exciting things coming up. Of course, we'll have this information later on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 7:17 now on this Tuesday morning. Start with a live look downtown Pittsburgh. Skies are clear. Sun is rising. Temperatures will eventually increase as well. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line. Bright sunlight out there as that sun continues to rise. But again, otherwise clear skies. Freeze warnings, frost advisories. Again, these will run through 9 o'clock this morning. And then hopefully we won't see anything like that for quite some time. As we head into the afternoon, initially we're going to have an east breeze at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. And believe it or not, we'll be a degree or two cooler most of today than where we were yesterday. It won't be until the evening when the winds shift out of the south that at least for a moment will warm up just enough to reach our highs. And then the sun will set, temperatures will begin to fall, but not nearly as much as they did to where we are now. So the south winds tonight, they start gusting upwards of about 25. We'll see a few clouds after midnight, and as we get toward tomorrow morning, we got partly cloudy skies, but look at these temperatures, nearly 20 degrees warmer tomorrow morning than where we started today and where we started yesterday too. South winds continue to gust tomorrow though, pushing about 30 miles an hour. Temperatures will be warmer thanks to that, even though we'll have a few extra clouds out there compared to what we've seen, which have been no clouds. We'll still be warmer, mid 70s, upper 70s, maybe even near 80 for some of our western counties. Now, we head into Thursday. We start our Thursday morning nice and mild again. A few more low 50s out there, not as many upper 40s. Still partly cloudy through the day Thursday, but we have a boundary that pushes through very early Thursday. Shifts our winds out of the north and west, and there's no rain associated with it, nothing crazy with it, but it keeps us just a wee bit cooler. As you can see, it doesn't have a significant impact on our temperatures, but we'll be a little cooler for Thursday and into Friday before we start to really warm up again heading into the upcoming weekend. All right, 7th and range line. Skies look great. There's that sunrise. It's 31. So despite that sunshine, not quite warm yet, but it'll get there. Winds are calm, which is good. No wind chills to have to worry about. Temperatures are pretty chilly this morning. We've still got Stockton still looks to be the cold spot at 29. The majority of us, though, still low, mid, and upper 30s. And I'm only seeing 139, and that's in Anderson. So you guys are currently the warm spot. but we'll all eventually get to take in warm temperatures later today. Mid-30s to start, about 50 by 11 o'clock this morning with those sunny skies. There's more sunshine into the afternoon. Temperatures into low 60s for the first half of the day, and again, eventually mid-60s, maybe some upper 60s by this evening with those winds shifting out of the south at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. South winds tonight again start gusting to 25, where you slow the cool down as we go into the evening. Upper 40s, low 50s tonight. Couple of clouds possible after midnight before we see a few more towards sunrise tomorrow. Mid 70s, upper 70s, and then we cool back, like I said, upper 60s, low 70s Thursday and Friday, but that is a short-lived cool down. It's not even that big of a cool down either. Upper 70s, low 80s heading into the upcoming weekend. A breezy day ahead on Sunday. Hanging out in the 70s next week. Could see a couple isolated shower chances by next Wednesday and Thursday. That's a check of your forecast. We'll be back with more right after this.
Well, good morning. We're joined here with Ms. Charlene Patton and also local soybean farmer Roger, and we're going over some special soy food recipes this month.
We are. It's National Soy Foods Month, and we're doing a recipe each week really that features different soy food products. Today we're doing the textured vegetable protein, and it is really an important product that we use across the nation and in other countries really to help them get protein in their diets. Roger, tell us a little bit about the soy protein that we're doing.
Yes, soy is the only plant protein awarded an authorized FDA health heart claim. And consuming 25 grams of soy protein is considered a heart-healthy addition to your diet.
It sure does. And we're trying to show you how easy it is to add those 25 grams to your diet. I'm using this, the textured vegetable protein. And what I did was it's a dry protein here. I took 1 cup out of it and then mixed it with 3/4 cup of hot boiling water. And with this recipe, we're also using miso. And that is a miso paste that really gives it a little bit of a boost in flavor for this particular recipe. So there it is, and then you let it cool, and we'll put that in there, and we're going to start adding these ingredients. And Roger, I said this one, yes. And you'll see this in here. We have red bell pepper, we have jalapeno pepper, cilantro, and green onions, and a little bit of garlic. We'll just put that all in there. Thank you, Roger. You can see that, Samantha, look how it's going to have some nice color to it.
It's beautiful.
Then we have some fire roasted corn, and then these are black soybeans. So I love using those black soybeans. If you have trouble finding them in the grocery store, look online for them. Now look how pretty that is. Isn't that? Now, Roger, you're going to add the cheese, yeah? Okay. And you can, this is Monterey Jack cheese, or you could use a pepper jack cheese if you liked it a little spicier. And now we have all these spices. We have smoked paprika, we have chili powder, and cumin. That's going to give this lots of nice flavor. Isn't that pretty? I just love this recipe because it's so colorful.
And it just smells so good.
It does, all those spices. Now the next step is to roll them into spring rolls. And you can either use an egg roll or you could use a wrap. When you use the egg roll, you'll see how the damp paper towel there. And we do that so we don't want them to dry out. Then I'm just going to take a couple tablespoons of this, and I'm going to turn this so that you can kind of see how I do that. And we're going to pull this up. We'll start rolling it. We'll pull this in and roll it like that. How easy is that? This will make about 12 rolls, and you can put that in an air fryer, Roger, if you have it, or you're going to use your soybean oil, put it in a skillet so it's about 1 inch thick, and get it to 375 degrees and actually fry them so they're golden brown. And there you have them.
Amazing. And I know next week, if you want a little something to dip it in, that's something we're going to be making next week.
That's right, a special dipping sauce. But they can go to our website at kansassoybeans.org or call our 800 number 877-KS-SOYBEAN, and we'll mail them all the recipes for April.
Well, thank you so much, Charlene and Roger. We'll be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:29. I'm Elise Snowy. Authorities released details of an animal rescue operation in rural Missouri. The joint rescue operation between law officers in Cedar County and the Humane Society of Missouri's Animal Cruelty Task Force saw the recovery of 51 animals. Those were 42 dogs, 2 adult cats, and 7 kittens. After securing a search warrant, the Animal Rescue Task Force arrived at the property for initial emergency care before the animals were moved to a holding facility. A formerly licensed breeder doing business with Whitner Knights operated the facility. An April 22nd court date has been scheduled to determine animal ownership. You can find more details about this story on our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. And now you can stay up to date with the latest news, weather, and sports with the KOAM Plus TV streaming app. It's available on the Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV Plus, and Roku. The player is also available on our news and weather apps, as well as our website. Watch live streaming anytime, absolutely free. The KOAM Plus TV streaming app. A Library of Congress education specialist visited Girard to show educators how they can access digitized collections from the National Library to enhance their teaching curriculums. The professional learning program is called Teaching with Primary Sources. Now, its goal is to work with rural communities and explore the use of primary resources from the National Library's collections. The Library of Congress specialists hope teachers will take what they learned and bring it back to their classrooms.
It really helps me in the sense of helping the students with getting primary resources in the forms of pictures for junior high kids to help them realize, hey, that was what was happening in Kansas during that time or during the wars.
Now today there will be another session that's open to the public. The Library of Congress will have future events in other cities. The next city they're going to is Hutchinson, Kansas on April 10th. Well, parents and young children celebrated Music Monday yesterday evening at Pittsburgh High School. Families learned tips from Cooper Neal, the music director at USD 250, on how to introduce music at an early age before enjoying a kid-friendly concert by PHS band members.
We want to get parents involved in allowing for their kids to listen to music in a safe and comfortable environment. So one of the things that we're doing is we're allowing them to make however much noise that they want to make in this environment and to freely express themselves as well.
Now, the event wrapped up, leaving participants with plenty of tunes and smiles. Now let's head over to Chris Warner for a look at the forecast.
Cold start to the day, but it's going to be another nice one as we head into the afternoon hours. Live camera downtown Pittsburgh. Skies are clear, but as I mentioned, it is a bit on the chilly side so far. MoDOT camera 20th and range line again. Plentiful sunshine from this particular angle as folks get their day underway. A reminder, until 9 o'clock this morning, we still do have some freeze warnings and frost advisories in place, but after this, we should be done with those for quite some time. We'll initially have winds out of the east at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. We'll have sunny skies out there, and then later this afternoon, early evening, winds will shift out of the south, and we'll start to warm up just a hair before sunset, so that's when we'll hit our highs a little later today. And then as we go overnight, those winds will increase, keeping us mild tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow morning, we should be nearly 20 degrees warmer than where we are right now, and we currently have 2 cold spots. Stockton and Fort Scott both sitting at 28 degrees this morning. As we get through the day, again, a little later, we'll hit our highs right around the mid, maybe even upper 60s. Clear skies, east winds 5 to 10. As I mentioned, they'll switch out of the south later today at 5 to 10 and increase overnight. Those increasing winds will also bring in some much warmer temperatures for us on our Wednesday. We'll have a look at that, plus your weekend forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, Beijing throws a monkey wrench into plans to sell TikTok to an American company so it can keep operating in the United States. Now, Fox's Jared Halpern has more from Washington.
If I gave a little cut in tariffs, they'd approve that deal in 15 minutes.
We're learning more about the potential sale of TikTok to an American company and the economic forces at work against it. President Trump told reporters the American government had approved a buyer and a deal was imminent when Beijing slammed the brakes, a retaliation for the new tariffs that went into effect last week.
We had a deal pretty much with TikTok, not a deal, but pretty close. And then China changed the deal because of tariffs.
On Friday, President Trump signed an executive order aimed at keeping TikTok running in the United States for another 75 days, giving White House negotiators more time to get a deal done that would bring the social media giant under American ownership and jurisdiction. Potential buyers are backing the president's move.
Better that this deadline was extended rather than try to force a deal through that might, Congress may not be happy with and might not comply with the law.
But with the White House not backing down from the tariff fight, it's not clear if China will sign off on a deal before the next deadline. And American officials have been clear the app can no longer be connected to the Chinese government if it's going to keep operating in the U.S.
They're all linked. No private company in China does business that doesn't have a direct connection with the Chinese Communist Party.
The Trump administration says it has no intention of renegotiating the TikTok deal, and it's standing by for a response from Beijing. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. We'll have a few tips to help your spring garden get in top shape this spring. We'll be right back, but before we head to break, here's a live look from Central Park in Carthage. In Consumer Watch this morning, Boeing has reached a settlement in the case of a 2019 737 MAX crash. A settlement was reached Sunday on the eve of a civil trial against Boeing by two of the families of passengers killed in the crash. Antoine Lewis and Darcy Bellinger were among the 157 people killed when the Ethiopian Airlines flight slammed into the ground after takeoff from an airport in Ethiopia. More civil trials for other family members are scheduled. The CEO of Spirit Airlines is stepping down. Ted Christie's resignation comes after the budget airline filed for bankruptcy late last year. The airline's board of directors is in the process of finding a replacement. Now, in the meantime, the company says it's creating what it calls an office of the president. A federal judge in Texas struck down a controversial Biden administration nursing home staffing rule. The mandate would have required nursing homes to meet a minimum staffing number. Now, the rule was quickly challenged in court by nursing home operators and their trade associations. The judge ruled that regulation must be consistent with congressional legislation that oversees nursing homes. Well, while some congressional Republicans are expressing serious concerns about the president's tariffs, others are asking for calm. Now, there is also some GOP opposition to his so-called Big Beautiful Bill. Fox News senior national correspondent Aisa Hasni has the latest from Capitol Hill.
We have to give the president space. His strategy is playing out. It's been less than a week, so I think he's owed that.
Tonight, House Speaker Mike Johnson staying steadfast in his support for President Trump's tariffs, even as members of his own conference are getting anxious. Today, Congressman Don Bacon introduced a bill that reins in presidential tariff authorities. It wouldn't get enough votes to pass today, but Bacon thinks that could all change.
If we continue to see the stock market go a certain direction, or if we see inflation or unemployment shift in a bad way, I think then this bill becomes a very viable bill.
The bill is identical to a bipartisan effort in the Senate that's gaining Republican support. The second most powerful Republican, John Barrasso, says it will get a thorough hearing, but
President Trump is fully within his authority, and I appreciate what the president is doing on tariffs.
Meanwhile, Democrats are pleading for more Republicans to speak up.
I think it's time for Republicans to step up and stop the harm and the carnage and the damage that is being done.
It could all collide with the pressure Republicans are facing to hold the party together on the president's Big Beautiful Bill. Leaders are pushing for a vote on the Senate-passed budget framework this week, despite several House Republicans opposing it over just $4 billion in spending cuts when they agreed to at least $1.5 trillion. House Budget Chair Jody Arrington calling that Senate bill, quote, unserious and disappointing.
And President Trump's trade chief, Jamieson Greer, will be here on Capitol Hill to testify in front of the Senate on Tuesday, in the House on Wednesday, as he tries to ease Republicans in the markets. On Capitol Hill, I'm Aisha Husney, Fox News.
And those are our top consumer stories. Let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News just after 7:44 now on this Tuesday morning. And it is a beautiful looking day, although it is cold right now. But don't worry, it'll be warm just like yesterday. Downtown Pittsburgh, MoDOT camera 28th and Rangeline looking pretty good as well this morning. A reminder again, freeze warnings, frost advisories. These will run through 9 a.m. And we should be done with this kind of cold business, at least for a while. On to the future track we go. We're actually, again, going to be a degree or two cooler through the day than where we were yesterday. Not like you're going to notice, but it will be on the thermometer a little cooler, okay? But we'll actually ultimately have highs a degree or two warmer than yesterday, because later today these east winds will begin to shift out of the south, and just in time ahead of sunset we'll start to see temperatures climb just a bit, and that's when we'll reach our highs around 5-6 o'clock this evening. Now the south winds will stick around, so that also means it's going to be a nice mild evening. They also will become gusty out of the south at about 25 miles an hour. A few clouds after midnight, then toward tomorrow morning start to go partly cloudy, but look at these temperatures at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. Almost 20 degrees warmer in some cases than where we started yesterday and where we're starting today. Partly cloudy and breezy through the day on Wednesday. South winds gusting upwards of 30. But that will also work to usher in the much warmer air out there as well. So we're talking mid-70s. Some of our western counties, maybe even close to 80 degrees by Wednesday afternoon. All right, got another mild evening. Partly cloudy skies continue Wednesday night into Thursday. And so we've got the more low 50s, fewer upper 40s as we start our Thursday. But Thursday is going to be a wee bit cooler. And here's why. See, the winds are now out of the northwest. In the first half of our Thursday, we got a weak cold front that's going to pass through. It's a weak one, so we're not going to have a significant drop in temperatures, nor are we expecting any precipitation or anything like that with it. But it will keep us a few degrees cooler as we head through Thursday, and I mean really just a few. So instead of upper 70s out west, we're low 70s. Instead of low 70s out east, we're upper 60s. So just a few degrees off. But otherwise, still a pretty decent day. Not a bad looking start to that day. Those skies are clear. It is beautiful. It just needs to warm up a bit, which it will do so. 31 in Joplin, and winds for the time being are calm. Temperatures around the region. We have Stockton still back at the cold spot at 28. You were tied with Fort Scott there for a moment. And the rest of us low, mid, upper 30s with it looks like Jay as the warm spot at 39. All right, here we go through the morning. Mid 30s to start, near 50 by 11 o'clock this morning, and sunny skies, clear skies, looking great out there. That continues through the afternoon, and eventually we'll make those highs right around the mid to upper 60s. Well, that south wind around 5 to 10 miles an hour. Into the evening we go, still fairly decent. The temperatures, they drop a little more slowly because that south wind picks up, keeps us a little milder. Upper 40s, low 50s tonight. South breeze gusting to 25. As I mentioned, south breeze tomorrow starts gusting to 30. Mid 70s, and I said we're a little cooler Thursday into Friday, but it is short-lived, and it's also not a big cool down. We'll return to the upper 70s and low 80s as we head into the upcoming weekend. Let's check your forecast. We're back with more after this.
Well, the snow and ice of winter now long gone, dead and vacant gardening plots remain across backyards nationwide.
Now, while April showers bring May flowers, horticulture experts are warning folks not to start planting too early.
Sue Guzman is digging up all the tips and tricks for the perfect spring garden.
As warmer spring weather continues settling across the country, the sunshine, buds, and bird calls may be tempting gardening fanatics to start getting to work. But green thumbs beware, your eagerness could be setting you up for failure down the line.
It's too early, though, to do a lot of cultivation. You know, we could be disturbing or harming our soil health by breaking ground right now.
Horticulture experts like Karen Mitchell of Purdue University say it's best to wait until the last frost to plant most vegetables and flowers.
Early May sometimes, but then again, we'll get a late frost in May occasionally. So keeping an eye on the forecast and looking for that last frost.
Instead of breaking ground now, gardeners are advised to use this time to plan and identify any problem areas.
Planning the layout, planning your shopping list. Are there wet spots? Are there shady spots?
Folks in more temperate climates should be mindful of sunlight access once any surrounding trees have fully blossomed.
A lot of shade will arrive with the leaves, so right now you might have some sunny spots that won't be sunny in the summer.
Meanwhile, if you're hitting up local hardware stores or greenhouses, experts say you may not want to forget these helpful tools.
First off is gloves, right? So I will often forget them until they're too late, but they are a important part of year-round gardening. And then my second favorite would probably be just a normal hand trowel. I do like ones that have more of an ergonomic grip so that you don't have as much fatigue.
Sue Guzman, Fox News.
And it's good advice because, I mean, we've got those freeze warnings and
Right.
frost advisories this morning, so I don't want to get started too early.
And with heavy rain too, I mean, you don't want to like flood your plants and things like that.
Exactly, that's not going to help either.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful out there. And speaking of, here's one more look at those freeze warnings and frost advisories that'll continue through 9 o'clock this morning. Temperatures eventually will warm today, similar to what we saw yesterday, as we have an east wind initially becoming south later today, about 5 to 10 miles an hour. Overnight tonight, winds increase out of the south, pushing about 25 miles an hour. Keeps our temperatures nearly 20 degrees warmer by tomorrow morning than where we are right now. Partly cloudy skies to start the day, partly cloudy through our Wednesday, still breezy. Those winds gusting up to 30 out of the south, but that also allows us to be much warmer. We'll go into Wednesday night into Thursday morning, and we'll have partly cloudy skies again, but in the first half of our Thursday, a weak cold front pushes through. So that switches our winds out of the north, and it keeps us just a hair cooler as we go into our Thursday afternoon, but you can see it's still a beautiful day. We'll have one more look at your forecast and the news you need to know right after this.
And here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A judge sentences Canyon Cole, a former Miami, Oklahoma teacher and coach, for sex crimes involving students. Cole pleaded guilty to sexual battery and 3 counts of soliciting sexual conduct or communication with a minor by use of technology. He gets 90 days in the county jail, a 10-year suspended sentence, and 10 years probation. Cole will also have to register as a sex offender. A high-speed chase from southwest Missouri into Oklahoma that ended with the arrest of a fugitive. William Vernemont of Kansas, Oklahoma, led authorities on a high-speed pursuit on I-49 that reached speeds of more than 110 miles per hour. Charges are being submitted to the McDonald County Prosecuting Attorney's Office for the violations that occurred in Missouri. And authorities released details of an animal rescue operation in Cedar County, Missouri. The joint rescue operation between law officers and the Humane Society of Missouri's Animal Cruelty Task Force saw the recovery of 51 animals. A formerly licensed breeder doing business as Whitmer Knights operated the facility. An April 22nd court date has been scheduled to determine animal ownership.
And after this cold start to the day, another warm one out there, eventually mid-60s, east winds at 5 to 10, becoming south later in the day at 5 to 10. Clear skies through the evening, a few clouds after midnight. Winds increase out of the south, gusting to 25, and we're milder this evening, back into the upper 40s, low 50s. Winds gusting out of upwards of 30 tomorrow out of the south, making us warmer, mid-upper 70s. Cold front in the morning hours on Thursday just brings our temperatures down a little bit Thursday and Friday. And as we head into the weekend, take a look at that, upper 70s and even some low 80s possible.
Looks great. Well, thousands of visitors flocked to Kukenoff and Lease over the weekend to admire several millions of flowers on display. Tulips, daffodils, hyacinths were just a few of the flowers that were showcased.
Now, the 250-hectare flower garden, located just 30 kilometers south of Amsterdam, lies in the middle of the Netherlands' flower bulb region called Ballenstreek. The nutritional values and the permeability in the region's sandy soil create the perfect conditions for floriculture.
Beautiful.
That's not a lot of large words to read this morning. It's too early for that. Well, it makes for pretty flowers because they've got good dirt. That's what it sums up. Well, thanks for joining us this morning. Hopefully you've had a good time, and if you had, we'll be back here today with more news and weather at noon.
Have a great rest of your morning.